Hey folks, what's up? It's Friday. Look, I'd had a plan to do this other thing, what have you, but then I know I haven't had these conversations with you, and I want to have one-on-ones with you, but there's so many people doing really cool things and being really cool creatives that I just said I got to do it. So we're gonna have some guests. We're gonna have some guests come in. We're gonna talk to them, sit down, chill, relax, because there's a lot going on. But today I've got one of my favorite people, just smart, funny, insightful, incredibly creative, neurotic about the creative, which I kind of like that mindset because it shows the passion, the care, and everything. So we'll just go into it. Are you ready, folks? All right, because this is it. So let's go. Hey, folks, what's up? I am Antonio Pomares, and this is the Hungry Bleak Show. I am the Hungry Bleak. Hungriest man in the room. Take that however you want. Okay, so let's get this out of the way quickly because I care. How was your week? How was work? I know. They be doing things like that sometimes. How's the family and the loved ones? I know, but you love them. You got to do what you got to do for them. Exactly. How are your things? Did you take care of that thing you had to do the other day? Don't let it linger. Did you drink water? Did you take your medicine? All right, cool. Bet you had a good one. All right. So I decided to have a bunch of solo shows because that's what I was going to do. I was going to have some fun, just chill with y'all. But then I saw these people doing crazy things, cool things. I was like, bet, awesome. And I had my this guest is like my Moby Dick of guests. Like I feel like I'm always like trying to get her because she's so awesome and she's doing so many incredible things. She told me not to overhype her, so obviously I'm going to overhype her. Writer, speaker, voice actor. One of my favorite things was what she was on, Afflicted. Absolutely wonderful. Poet, and now she's adding the hat of comic book creator. Absolutely love this. This is dope, folks. This is M Shy S Dash.
I said no hyping, man.
I
And
know,
you know
and
what else? Like when you said, "Did you do that thing from the other day?" Like I know you're just like doing witty banter, but I was like, "Oh my god, did I do that thing?"
no, but there's always a thing that we should have did the other day.
There indeed is a thing we should have done from the other
It's
day.
always a general statement, but I'm like, there's a thing that you should have done. Like
It's
one time I
triggering,
caught myself.
actually. It's
Yeah,
quite triggering. I'm like, "Oh my god, did I drink water?"
no,
Like,
but that's why I ask because I want people to. I'm like, did you drink your water? Did you take your medicine, your vitamins? Did you? Because we forget. There's so much going on. There's a lot going on in our lives today.
well, you know you didn't take your medicine because you need water to take the medicine. So if you didn't drink your water, that's
Okay, that's this. How are
what a
you
weird
doing
way for
today,
me
I'm
to come
shy?
in. What a weird way to open. So that's right on brand for me. So I'm good.
The episode that you were on before was the most chaotic episode I've ever had. And at a certain point, I just said, I'm gonna just let nature take its course. Go ahead, do you. It was I had no control. I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. Go ahead, do it.
You know
You-
what? What I love about me is I'm a really unreliable narrator. People be like, "M Shy has changed. She handled her with the kid gloves. She's different now." And then I'm like, "Surprise, surprise!" And I'll like be back on my bullshit. And they're like, "Yo, we're not. You're like the girl who cried wolf. We're not believing you anymore." You know, like you said you were going to be a quiet monk and live in the mountains, and we just saw you doing the Running Man at BlurredCon in a Gengar bucket hat. You're a crazy girl. So
But I mean, there's balance. That's balance.
balance, right? That's what I'm
You
saying.
gotta have balance. So look, you have had so many hats on, but now you're doing something new, which is comic books, which I'm very excited about.
Yes. This
And
is
you
the
have
hardest hat to fit over my weave.
eh,
It's hard. Yes.
here we go. All right.
Hard
Yep. This
stuff.
is what I mean. This is what I mean. The energy. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we just gonna let it happen. So Fumes is Kickstarter that's live right now.
Yeah.
Um, you are almost there too. I am so excited for what's going to be coming out. This is awesome. So tell us
It's
about
surreal.
Fumes.
It's surreal. Um, It started with the same way that the story it's adapted started from, which is this idea that wouldn't it be cool if there were aliens on this planet who were here for decades eating our pollution. And that's sort of where I jump off in volume 2 with the story Fumes. And then when I went to adapt the story, it became so much more because I like to keep it short in the story collection because I've got X amount of time to get it done, and it's not my anchor story. So I have an anchor story for each of the Quirky Black Sci-Fi Tales books, and this was not the first story. This is just one of the other 4 stories. Not to say that they all are wonderful and great, and you'll love them. So when I went to expand the universe, I was like, oh my God, this is so much more and so different than what's in the book, which makes me so much more confident to put it out there because I don't want to give people a double experience, right? Or even like a familiar experience. This is like just the nucleus of the story is the same. And then there's like so much more character building that I get into because I'm pacing it out. And the funny thing about coming into the comic book space, for those who don't know me, because I've had some interesting questions around this. And I mean, I guess I do understand, but the question of me creating a comic book from one of my stories came up years ago when I did volume 1. And I thought it'd be cool to do magnets, which is just like visually, I thought it'd be cool to do this story magnets, which is sort of like a kind of heavy, gritty sci-fi essay survivor story. But that story ended up not being a fan fave. It was very healing for me to write, but I really wanted to see it visually. And then I just sort of tabled it for years, right? And I was just like, okay, well, it'd be cool one day if by some, happenstance way, I get some roundabout way, I get to at least bring one of my stories to life. And then it's like I kept getting deeper and deeper into the space with these amazing like titans. I mean, I came up with Robert Jeffrey to my left, and then you got Greg Anderson, LSE to my. I always say LSA to my right, and it's like or left. I don't know which one I said first. I like to babble. I get kind of.
I know.
Then you
I got you.
And Lillivard, like all of these amazing people, like Dr. Shamika Mitchell. Shout out to her for put me on my panel, my first New York Comic Con panel, and then again, first time at San Diego Comic Con. So I'm in the space with these wonderful people who do comics, and it still seemed like such a far off world for me. Like, could I branch over to that medium? And then I think what made me do it is that I was very close to someone who was very passionate about comic books in a way that was almost like a feverish, like obsessed with the art, obsessed with process. And I kind of caught that fever too. And then it just so happened that I became an empty nester around that time. And everything just culminated in a way where I'm like, if I'm ever going to do it, I need to do it now. Like I have a little bit of the bandwidth, I have a little bit of the seed money. I would like to see Fumes be a thing. And I chose Fumes because, I love a creature feature. I love aliens and tentacles and floating monsters and all that type of thing. But more than anything else, I love a badass, Black woman protagonist who is tortured, a little morally gray, heavily tattooed, and has a question that she needs to answer for herself, a heavy question. And if people continue reading Quirky Black Sci-Fi Tales, they'll find that in every climate fiction story that I include, and I intend to include one in every single book because our Earth is on fire, I'm going to have that same formula. It's going to be a woman, in the midst of this sort of climate change decision, and she's going to have to ask herself and a question about who do you save? Who deserves saving? Have we not had ample chances to save ourselves, right? Who, it's a loaded question. And before I even set up my space to stream, I was like, let me pull my Rex for like, what influenced me with this. Cause I was like, and I pulled from a few different places. Like I pulled from the comic book space, and I pulled from the literary space, and then I pulled from a few nonfiction spots. So um, I had like The Real Deal: Indigenous Action to Save Our Earth was one,
Mm-hmm.
which is like I always like think it's valuable like to hear from the group who were the original stewards of the lands, right? On
Always.
their perspective on climate change. And then I'm a big fan of this guy.
Oh.
um, The Myth of Human Supremacy by Derek Jensen. I started my Derek Jensen journey with a book called Monsters, and it was recommended to me by my little brother, who's like heavy into this stuff. And Monsters just sort of gave you this walkthrough of what it is to humanize other species or to empathize with other species. And then there's one that isn't here because every time I buy it, I loan it out and they never give it back. And that's Ishmael by Daniel Quinn, which is a story from the perspective of all things, an ape or a gorilla. Like imagine you see an ad in the paper that asks you, if you want to save the world, show up at this building at this time. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how the book kicks off. And then the guy, he goes and he shows up and he's like, what is the deal with this? And he comes to this like seedy building and he goes in a room and it's just a primate sitting at a table. And what's cool about the book is they don't really get into, I think, like how he's communicating or they like telepathically. It's kind of trippy in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But the primate begins to tell him just the fallacy about like human supremacy. Like, why should everything that has existed before us had the peace to exist and thrive, and then we come along and decide to burn it all down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was really a great read or whatever. And no matter your spiritual traditions, when you read this, you can't disagree with what's being stated in the book, which is that because we have our traditions, i.e., our our pantheons and our ideas, our creation myths or truths, we also have our endings already written. And so in Quinn's work, he challenges us to just think about that. The fact that we've already written an ending for ourselves almost is means that we're determined to get there or that we don't really care about what happens because we're going to end in this fireball anyway, right?
And
And the
that's
fact
basically we
that we're the
know.
only species to have has done that, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
a pretty cool perspective. And then we have of course I can't talk about that without talking about Victor Laval's Eve, which is a lighter, more hopeful read.
Oh.
Beautiful artwork. So all of these things
Mm-hmm.
I poured into myself before I even ventured into the space. I took a script writing class with Screen Rant before I ventured into the space. Like I want to say all that to say that I wasn't just like, oh my God, it would be cool if I, just like write a comic book because that's an asshole move because it is an expensive dice roll with your time and energy and with other people's energy. And I think anybody coming into this space should definitely go big or go home and shoot for what, to make the IP that they want to make, but also consider the sacrifice on your time and
Mm-hmm.
your energy and your finances. It's a really big decision. So, and even when I did all of that, I still was like, I don't know, man. And so you know what I did? And this is the funnest part of the story. I wrote Fumes. I published Quirky Black Sci-Fi Volume 2, and Fumes is like itching at me. Like I can see Eula. And I'm like, oh Eula, what do you want? And she's like, I wish to be witnessed, right? This character is talking to me, and I'm like, oh, I think it's comic book time, but I'm not sure, right? So Awesome Con was coming up. 2024,
Okay.
Awesome Con, and I see that Greg Burnham is going to be there. And I was like, you know what? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if there's anyone who's level-headed but also kind of a straight shooter who'll straight up tell me like don't wait, it's gonna be him, whatever. I know a few people like that, but I specifically wanted to talk to him. Huge Tuskegee Years fan, um just Sudoku fan, like just I'm a fan. So I
Right.
so I buy a ticket. I don't have a badge or anything. I buy a ticket. Then my mom is like, oh, I see you're going to a con. I've never been to a con. I'm like, okay, mom. So now I buy my mom a ticket. So now she's dressed like Lumpy Space Princess, upstaging me, by the way. Like people like running up to her. I'm like, what am I, chopped
Okay.
liver? But no, she killed it. Absolute, like, an amazing experience. Like, take your mom to con. Hashtag take your mom to con. So we're there, we're having a good time. Boom, I see Burnham. I'm like, okay, bet. I slide over there. Like dressed as like dressed as Prince Zuko, hijabi Prince Zuko. And I was like, look, man, I got this story. I'm kind of not sure if it translates. Can I airdrop it to you? Can I email it to you? He was like, sure, whatever. I was like, all right, let me know if you'd like to work on it. I can give you a consultant, whatever. Scope the work and pitch it to me with whatever the price. And he was like, just let me see the damn story. Like, he's funny like that. Like, just let me see cut all that craziness out. And so I sent it to him, and I think it was like a day or two. And I'm getting disheartened because like a Virgo overthinker, and I'm like, oh, I hated it, and he's like taking time trying to figure out like how to tell me it sucked. And so I'm like, trying to like steel myself for this bad response. And he hits me and was like, I love it. Let's work. I love it. I was like, so I have a book. And he's like, you have between 4 to 6 books if you pace it out right. And I said, all right, let's fucking rock and roll. Lot of change in my life in 2024. A lot of shit. Like, we actually didn't get to we set in motion, and I was trying to like do the slow pace adaptation and then send him the work and have him, give me feedback, get feedback. And then finally I totally moved. I sold my house in Maryland. I moved down to Richmond, and he was just like, you know what, let's do a writing sesh. And I was like, okay, you know what, fuck it. And so late summer, he comes up to the loft. We sit on that rooftop and we just go for it. And what I liked about it was such a light touch, right? We're just like trying to get the art direction down. He's trying to show me the science of how to dictate how to dictate what you want from an artist, like really nuts and bolts things that you just don't get unless you're gonna write in the space. And then he comes out of a DC incubator when they did like their Brave New Voices, and he also went through the Milestone Initiative. So he had some tools that were like pro tools that are not just floating around out there freely. And he gave me all that game, and we poured it all into Fumes. And then I was like, all right, so what's next? And he was like, well, you really need a month out before you even think about asking anybody for their hard-earned money, right? This is before the election. This is before, he was just like, look, it's still an inflation. Like, you need to build community. You need to do A, B, and C. And so I was like, okay, now I'm gonna dive in. I was reading through my TBR list. I still have stacks of comic books. Every time I go to a con, I'm like, where is it at? Where is the indie comics? And I just like collected so much stuff. I'm like, let me just sit. So I would do weekends where I would just sit on the rooftop and read people's stuff, which gave me even more love for this space because I've been collecting these guys' stuff forever. Like, I'm like super fans of people who I don't really tell them that because I don't want it to get weird. I don't want them to be like, oh, she wants the D. Like it can get weird like that. You get weird like that. So I'm just quietly super fans of some folks or whatever. Some great writers in the space. Even though I do in person try to give people their flowers, I'm just not trying to be like all fangirly online, so they can be like, "Oh, I'm shy, it's so gross." But yeah, so we got through that part of it. I did the pre-launch, and I was just like, if I can even get to 50 signups, and then Burnham was like, hate to break it to you, but you really gotta, shoot for the moon, because that's just gonna, you can launch a little higher on the algorithm. He was just giving me some game about how crowdfunding works. I've never crowdfunded anything with me at the helm. It's always been, shout out to Milton Davis, who's made so many opportunities for black and brown creatives in the space, whatever. He did a campaign for Space Funk, and that's probably is about close to a campaign, like running a campaign as I ever got, whatever. So had a little bit of learning from that, but not around really like doing hardcore promo. People know this about me probably by now. I would rather chew glass than do like hardcore promo. I don't know what it
Mm-hmm.
is, and I love promoting other people's stuff. I like go crazy. When it comes to my stuff, I'm like, and I'm also doing this thing. And then Brennan
Mm-hmm.
was like, "What are you doing? You're doing a thing that's good, and people like it, and they believe in it, and you got to say it with your chest too." I was like, "I do believe in it," and he was like, "You're gonna have to, put it out there." And something just like a dam open, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get all the sites. I'm gonna set aside as much budget as I can. I'm gonna really, really give this like my all. And I think that doing this comic book kind of taught me a little bit of game I can bring to the books. Just a little bit more of a bravery streak.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really had to get out of my comfort zone and do lives. Like I'm sitting on TikTok, like, "Hello, my name is M. Shy. I'm the owner of Imatropia Comics. Nice to meet you. I have a book. It's called Fumes. Aliens are eating our pollution. There's a global conspiracy to privatize our air. There's also a cool girl. She has tattoos. Her name is Eula." So it was very. I know when I watch this back, I'm gonna be regret making that face that I just made for a full.
It's all right. You good.
I just thought I edited it out. No, keep
You
it,
good. You
keep
good.
it, keep it. I need to learn. I gotta learn my lesson. But yeah, I say all that to say, super awkward promoter. But I think I did better this time. And you know what's so funny about it? Everybody told me to do like all these things to promote, and I wholeheartedly agree with them. All the people who gave me advice have successfully run campaigns. But the thing that I liked doing the most is the updates. I do the most outlandish update, and they're so much fun for me to thank people, and then just add one off the wall thing in the update. I know people reading it like, "What did she just say?" Like just this. There's so much fun for me doing this update. Um, but back to Fumes. So Fumes is not for the kids. There is sex. There's violence. There is nudity. There's some nudity, not like full nudity, but like it's a cussing, action packed. Uh, there's lots of blood and guts. It's fun. Lots of gun toting, blicky bussing fun.
But I
Have
think so. That's like some of the stories that we need, though. We need different types of stories.
Oh my God, did
And
I talk for 3 minutes without letting you get a word in edgewise?
well, I asked you, so yeah. I mean, yeah. But honestly, I'll I'll be honest with you. You answered about three of the questions I was going to ask you anyway. So thank you for helping me out because I was going to ask you because I know that you've been doing like cons and everything, and I know that's normally not your wheelhouse. That's not your thing. So to see you just evolve in that way, not just from storytelling perspective or you doing another medium, going into this medium, but also in how you are becoming a brand and you know putting your brand yourself out there. That's important to see. Sometimes you're going to trip and fall. That's just how we learn stuff. But to see you
Inevitably.
do it, and like when I've seen you like like your picture on like let's say Instagram whatever, and you're at a table, and I'm looking, I'm like, that's so cool to see you doing that and putting yourself out there. And I know you're probably in the back of your head there's a nervous wreck. You're like, oh, but you're doing it, and it's so cool to see because if this is what you're doing now, I'm imagining you next year and how maybe more comfortable or at least presenting the more comfort doing it, but still just being out there. I think it's a cool thing, and I love seeing that evolution of you doing it. So bravo to you. Hell.
You know what? It really is like two different sides of my brain. So you know me from writing with Black Sci-Fi. Shout out to Maurice Waters, a founder, a mentor in the space. Put that press badge on me. Him along with Tiara Jonte, my editor
Mm-hmm.
friend, my writer Batty Bessie, my futurist lovely baby. They both put that press badge on my around my neck, and so I was so used to going there, and it sort of felt like a shield. Like I'm just here to take the pictures. And then when I started to have a body of work, people were like, "Well, come panel," and I'm like, "I'm just here to panel." And then when when I would go talk to the vendors, because I mean that's why I'm there, right? I want to shop with these guys, really great
Mm-hmm.
guys who set up like Mikey Makes Comics, of course, Shauna Lane, like all
Right.
my friends whom I love dearly, and I like to go, go shop. And so then they started to be like, well, why don't you vend? And I was like, like, I don't know why that was my one thing, but I'm just like, me vend? Like, I'd like, could I? Should I? You know? And I got it bad. Oh my God. This year, I got it the worst. I pulled up with my beautiful horror writer friend, Crystal Connor. Shout out to her. She runs, of all things, the coolest shit ever, a Cabin in the Woods film fest set in a cabin in the woods.
Oh, yes, I've heard about that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yes,
With a
yes.
full, and she sources all, she's got the craziest eye for talent in literature and on the film side. And she's sourcing this stuff herself with her own pick people who are like inviting indie filmmakers to submit. And she's not even asking for like a super high production value. She
Hmm.
just wants to see story. Is the short, scary? Does it hit all the points or whatever? And she's giving out awards. And so she's done this 2 years
Wow.
in a row. For the launch year, I did the virtual leg of it. So this
Hmm.
is so cool. I basically, it's so funny. Like, I like sat in my attic closet for like hours running the virtual leg of this. And I did not miss the time. We played games. We had the games. We gave away prizes, like physical prizes to the. It was just really cool how she launches it. An amazing brain. I love the way she thinks. But either way, so she was like, "Oh, you think, Blaircom would like if we had like an black indie horror 101?" I said, "If you don't pitch that shit," so she pitches it. Of course, it lands. We're in there, so now I'm there again. Just hear the panel, recede into the shadows. But then she just like, girl, if you don't take your little flight, go, do the comic book promo. And I was like, okay, cool. So I'm doing my walkthrough of the artist alley at BlurCon, and Burnham is there, and he has printed the first poster version of the comic book, and he has it on his table. And I
Oh.
contained myself, but I kind of like wanted to cry. Like, it was just a very surreal moment. About he didn't even know this, but when I held it in my hand, it was just like, oh my God, this shit is like happening. And then like
Hmm.
people not knowing what it was just coming by like, oh, cool print, like just seeing it on the table really rocked my world. Then, of course, when I got deeper into the artist alley, they're like, "Oh, cool. Where's your table at this year?" I'm like, "No table." And so, like, some people like threaten my life. Like, if they don't see a table next year,
Yeah.
like so. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All of you auditors of this channel. No one threatened my life.
No.
But they were
But
just
they're
very,
very passionate about it. They're very
yeah, they're very
passionate. Like, so
adamant
why
about
don't you got a table?
exactly. So, and I
Yeah.
mean, I can honestly thank Burnham again and Duran because they launched Atlanta Comic Con, which is actually the first time I've vended officially where I got a table and like set it up. I bought, I really was feeling
Oh.
myself like, oh, I'm an author. I bought this big banner. The banner felt so obnoxious, but everyone else had it. So I was like, look at my banner. And it was just, I had a great time. Saw some familiar faces there. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And then I've done a few like mini engagements since then. I threw a comic book meetup in my building, and I was like, I hope somebody shows up, and people came. I mean, I lured them there with pizza, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, you gotta do
No,
what
they
you gotta do.
came. And do you know why I love how that turned out? I'd say a third of the people there. I mean, it was a good mix of people. It was a handful of, white people, black people, but a lot, like a third of the black people there were just like, "Dang, there's a lot of titles here." By there's a black titles. I'm like, yeah, and they're like, "Well, where'd you get them?" Like, it's out there, man. It's out there. Like I bought these things from cons, but you can order it like anything you're looking for, like any like genre, subgenre, crossover genre, like it's out there, like we're writing it, whatever. And it just it kind of blew me away because I'm in this space and I'm like immersed in it, and I'm always I can honestly say maybe 60 to 75% of my collection is indie, like black
Hmm.
and I have whole stacks of indie, and so but it never occurred to me like, oh yeah, like some people still don't know, no idea this stuff is out there, which kind of lit a fire under my ass. Like we are growing this space and we're growing in this space, and it's an honor to come in at this time. Um, good, bad, and ugly with the things that are going on in the indie space and how much money there is to go around or the politics of it. I don't care. I have so much respect for comic book creators that I'm like, I'm excited to be in the space. No matter what comes of it. I'm already planning book two. It's just been really cool. It's been really cool. And I can't draw. I can't draw a circle. So with that said, big shout out to Taya and Tahila Ankum. Also went through the Milestone Initiative. When I tell you these young women, I think they're in their early 20s, they're twins. Uh, I've seen them just casually live draw at a table. And the way these young women love to draw, the thought process and the care they put into so much of their workflow is amazing. I'll give you an example. I was
Hmm.
like, okay, they're like, well, what's the story about? I sent them the script. They're like, cool, cool, cool. Within hours, and these are just the inks, and the inks are just like, these are just the inks, and the inks are so clean. Um, Within hours, they came back and were like, based on what you said these creatures do, here's several animals under these taxonomies that do
Wow.
this. We can incorporate these animals' features, and they're like, here's one with fins. I was like, what? And they were like, I mean, like they took it seriously. And what I like about them both is that's a sci-fi brain, right? Those are some sci-fi babies because like the
Hmm.
consideration they put into if this creature really did exist, what would its body look like? What would its filtration system look like? And me, I'm over here like, I don't know, make it really cool looking with tentacles of some kind, make it like a jellyfish head, but give it human legs. And they're like, right, we got it from here. So, like, so they did their thing on the art. They were so easy to work with. I've heard some horror stories. I've quietly had a few interesting we're all creatives, we're all artists, we're all sensitive about our shit, but some people are artists and some people are people who do both, right? They know how to
Hmm.
execute a deliverable for a business and make art. So it's great to get that marriage of in two young up and coming artists. And then of course I had Kanan White, who came
Yes.
in at the tail end because I was like, oh my God, I love this cover. It'd be cool to have two variant covers. And then Burnham was like, I have a short list, really good guys. I'm going to see who has the time. Because it's not that they wouldn't do it. It's just like when someone sought after, right? You got to see if they've got the time.
Yep.
Um, that red one, I'll have those stickers probably at MomoCon. I mean, I'm probably might pull up at MomoCon. So
Okay.
yeah, so shout out to them. I think I'll probably, I mean, yeah, I would bring them in for book two. I want a sort of cohesiveness. And I think
Yes.
I'll probably keep the same rhythm where I bring someone different in for the variant covers. Um, but I would like to definitely work with them for the art. They seemed excited about the prospect of launching in the book too. So this one right here, that's a really really early sketch they did. Like, oh, this is an idea how the cover can sort of pan out, whatever. And this page that I put together, this site,
Yeah.
this is all just like their early like sticker art, and I was like, well, this is enough for me, and I just launched it. But I probably will. I might do the site again. I might do the site again.
I mean, the fact that you said that, you want to get into this pool and you dropped a huge stone because to have an actual label is a huge thing. And the fact that you have a heavy hitter like Greg coming in, who is no joke, and people love his work, but also that he's willing to tell you, okay, well, this is what you should do, and be a straight shooter with you, but still take the time to be like, okay, well, this is how we can do it, but not like this, and have the name set up of, well, there's a short, like you were saying, well, there's a short list. Let's see who's available, who can do it, what have you. It's so important and so needed to have people that are willing to not hold your hand, but to guide you through the process of
No, he
that,
definitely it
which is
was a hand
awesome.
holding. I'm not ashamed to say. I mean, I'm new here, and I was just like, well, tell me what to do. But sometimes he would try to be like hands up, like don't navigate it yourself. But I think he also got this idea, whatever, that like there is a lot of waste to be wasted, a lot of
Hmm.
resources to be spindled away if you don't know what you're doing, because if someone is just like, oh, someone's coming into the space, um, they've got a budget, but I don't have time to parse everyone's work ethic and reputation. So I really did rely on him for that. Like,
Hmm.
I don't have a rapport with these people. I don't have I only know them from being a consumer of their books or having seen them online or whatever.
Right.
If he has working relationships with them and information I can leverage, that's always good to know. So I know, like, it's never a who to avoid, because he doesn't really speak ill of people. It's just like who's a good fit, right? So for this
Okay.
project, and I appreciated that. That's like, that's deep-seated consultation right there. And I think that for anything anyone's trying to do, if they can get a mentor for whatever you're trying to do, like whatever, engineering, writing, whatever, if
Hmm.
you can get a mentor in the space, please do, because maybe it'll protect you from a lot of like a headache and waste. And I mean, I have a kid in college, so any little slip up, like, yeah, I'm still trying to keep my coins together. And I was explaining to someone who didn't really understand like the cost of this. I'm just like, it's a car. It's a gently used car.
Mm.
Maybe just to give you a ballpark. And they're like, oh wow, like that people, I don't think people know. I didn't know until I really got deeper into the space, like what it costs to produce a book. But I mean, it makes sense, right? It's color printing, it's a
Yeah.
bunch of hands on deck. There are some people in the space, they want to automate some things. That's between them and their Lord. As for me and mine, there's no AI in my book. Everything's rendered by hand, by humans who eat, breathe, sleep art. And that's how I wanted it. That's how I preferred it.
Hmm.
And I didn't really, yeah, I mean, that is priceless to me. So people can argue about, cost cutting, but that to me was priceless. I want the soul of the Ancum sisters in this work, and they really did get down. So yeah, so there's this huge this consideration towards all of it, towards the art, towards the budget, and it's nice to have a mentor for those things, whatever. And so I think he would get the ick if he heard me call him and like, yeah, because we just be hanging out. Like I'm always making experimental like dishes and then like testing him, like try this out. Whenever he comes over, like I
Oh
made
my.
a pulled barbecue chicken, but I didn't have any like bread, so I like put it on a croissant. Have you ever
I
heard anything
mean,
so big back shit there? I put the
I'm
the
not
big,
mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. I mean,
no, it was really good, but you gotta like, this is ghetto. You gotta like fry the bread. Like you gotta take the croissant, put like a little teeny layer of like mayo on it, and then you gotta like fry the bread and put the pickle on there, and then you put the pulled chicken on there. It's so good. I usually use a Hawaiian roll though. That's the recipe. Use a Hawaiian roll.
what I like to
And
do
then if
with
I
my bread is like whatever I'm done cooking, like say it's a hamburger, whatever. Still have a little bit of the juice in there, a little bit of the seasoning. I'll actually put the bread, the open sides down there, give a little toast, get the seasoning in there as well, just enough. Then I pull it
okay.
out, and then I put it on there. Like, cause my mother, she like, if I'm ever
Ooh,
cooking for her, she doesn't like warm. She doesn't like room temperature bread or cold bread. She just doesn't. So I was like, all right, cool. So I got tired of
wait.
toasting the bread. So I was like, all right, let me
No
do
toasted
this.
bread. Okay. So hot bread always hot, super hot
Yeah,
bread.
yeah, she always has that. So I started doing it. I was like, you know what? Let me try this out because there's seasoning in there, a little extra seasoning in the bread, a little bit of butter. Put it down like that. Get that nice crispness to it. Get a little bit of a toast to it. Put it on there. Put whatever condiments you want on there. Then put your meat on there. She was like, oh my gosh. She was like, oh, she was like just in heaven. Like you can thank me.
You wanna hear something fucked up
Mm,
that I don't think I've ever told anybody in a public space?
oh boy.
Okay, this is
What?
funny.
Oh god.
Okay, so I used to work on Capitol Hill. I used to work for a member, and she used to request like a really healthy version of a sandwich, like a really dry sandwich.
Hmm.
But I never let them do that because I just something about my black soul. I'm like, nah. So I would have them like put like Chipotle mayo on it
Oh my
and then
god.
like fry it and then do the rest of the sandwich how she asked. And so like when I left, I like came back up there to visit. She was like, and what the hell is wrong with my sandwiches? She's like, why are my sandwiches different? I'm like, I don't know. I don't you know?
Ew.
And I never told her. She's fine.
I
She's
mean,
alive.
she's real upset. She's like, why my sandwich is not right now? Why
A
am I?
little listen, Chipotle mayo, a little bit on the bread,
See, I'm not a
toasted.
big fan of mayo in general. I for some reason.
Me neither, but this was Chipotle mayo. And you put a little slide, this Chipotle mayo side down on the grill
All
in
right,
the Longworth building. The
I'm gonna
sandwich
have to
was
try
going
it.
up. If any of the people who know what I'm talking about, they were like, oh, they're gonna be like, oh, that's dirty. You can't do that. No, she loved that sandwich. She loved that sandwich. Um, this is what you meant by you were like, oh, when your lives get chaotic.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I might have ADHD.
You have a lot. Your mind is like a universe, and there's and every idea is a planet. And you have so many planets and ideas bouncing around. That's why I just sit back and go, all right, yeah, all right.
Ah,
But that's what it's all right.
just
So
edit it out. Edit it out.
so
Um,
oh no. We are live. No.
oh
So
shit.
all right.
Yeah, okay.
So we have fumes. This is going out. You're almost there, which is beautiful. I'm gonna actually to put on my
Back
post
my
hat now.
Kickstarter.
Yes, the link is in the episode description, folks. This
Sweet.
is just, I was so happy to hear about you doing a comic because I know you've been talking about dropping hints for a long time. You were on social media, and I was like, I wonder which story you're gonna. And I know at one time you were thinking about superheroes. You went around, but then to see you drop Emmetropia Comics, and just go all in, I absolutely love the fact that you're doing that because I love. I've said this before, and I say, and I know this is what you said. Don't hype you, but I said that you're a voice, and you have these incredible ideas, and you are, to me, you are the definition of quirky and sci-fi because of how you think. And whenever you post something, whether it's one of those like really awkward dad jokes, which I bust out laughing because
What is it like a
it's a
dad
simple
joke?
joke, but there's so many layers to it, and I'm like, oh, I'm so mad at how funny that is. But then you have these incredible like ideas as far as like how you dissect scenes, everything. It's really cool, and you're a voice because you do this, and you do it in such a beautiful way. One of my favorite things about the way that you write, and I am not a particularly uh, religious person. I have a bit of a spirituality, but not any particular. Well, I actually do have one particular deity that I do speak to, but what have you. Um, but whenever I'm reading something of yours, and you will put just the slightest little thing about the character being Muslim, and
Look at it.
it it feels like, and I didn't know how to describe this when I described it to Robert when I was speaking to him on a show because I was talking about fumes on another show, and I said
Thank you.
it feels like a warm pair of slippers or a blanket or a robe that you're putting on. It feels comfortable when you're saying it. And I'm not Muslim. I know like the bare minimum about Islam, but it feels so comfortable when you say it. It feels like it feels like whenever you write it in, I go, oh, okay. It's almost like I'm waiting for it subconsciously and I don't realize it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Listen,
And it feels so
it's like
comfortable.
Remick said, you're having a Remick experience, but he was just like,
I'm saying
but he was just like, those words are comfort to me too. Like,
it's like it feels so good. Like I'm like, oh, and it like it whenever it happens, it brings the scene together for me somehow. And I don't know why that is, but it just feels beautiful when you write that way. And you just it'll be one sentence, and it almost feels like you epitomize the beauty and grace of of Islam in that sentence. And I don't know, maybe that's just me
you know
projecting.
what?
I don't
But
know.
I have such a hard time with that because, like, I try to explain to people, I don't know why this concept is lost on them, that a Muslim is like a Christian is like a Jew, meaning that these are humans who are adapting an ideology, but living very human lives and having very human emotions. So even me, as a writer, like sometimes I have my scarf on, sometimes I don't, sometimes I'm outside, and they're like, "I'm shy, we don't know what's going on in your life," and that's fine. And my characters, I kind of like them to be the same. Like when I wrote New High Score, about with the hijabi battle royale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, wouldn't it be fun if it's like a battle royale or whatever, but it's just like a hijabi? Because like, why not? Whatever. And like, and it's just funny. And I had some sisters hit me up like, "Oh, this is wild." I said, but you have to let people know, like, um, this whole like conservative, like, you know, it's just, you see Muslim girls skateboarding, you see Muslim girls sword fighting, you see Muslim girl hoopers into sports, soccer. So it's just
Like
like,
living,
yeah, exactly, just letting
existing.
yeah, letting people know that we air just in the same way you air, like, you know,
Mm.
just and having fun. Okay, how can I say this? I didn't want to create a Muslim down, like a story that's so downer and like so heavy. I
Yes,
wanted to be a fun story where the characters just happen to be Muslim. You know what I'm
yes.
saying? Like they just happen to be Muslim, but it's a regular story of a dude doing some kind of like janky stuff to his significant other, and then her ending up in this battle royale. And then and then it's a sci-fi story still because there's like nanobots that lift your ass from the inside, and like cosmetics. That's so 2025. Like you need the nanobot to go in your face and like Snapchat your face back to 19 years old. So that was fun, but I do lay it on a little thicker for Pool Pass because Pool Pass is a heavier story. The tone of
Yes.
the story
Oh,
was heavier, and people were like, "Why did it end this way?" There's actually in Volume 3 another like an alternate ending, like a true ending to Pool Pass.
oh, because I like the one that you put in.
Yeah, just a few pages. Not a story. It's
Okay,
just
okay, okay,
what happens
okay.
after everything in Pool Pass. It's gonna be like, you know how they have like the credits have rolled and there's
Mm-hmm.
more. I'm adding because I wanted to put it in in book 2, but I thought it'd be funner to put it in book 3 because people are like, oh shit, this is what happens at the way after in Pool Pass, and it's gonna be so cool. I promise people. I'm so excited for Volume 3 of Quirky Black Sci-Fi Tales too. Like I'm just as excited for Fumes, but and you're the first to get this. There is a character at the end of the first story in Quirky Black Sci-Fi Tales 2 that if Kickstarters and finances permit, I am going to make a book for Zennik. And Zennik's world is gonna cross Eula's world. Zennik is, you just go back and
Oh,
revisit it if you don't know what I'm talking about. But that's all I'll say. Zennik will meet Eula. I am determined. If I don't do anything else, my
all right, all right, all right.
my baby with her sentient cables coming out of her head and
That what?
her human non-humanness and her like creepy talk through her with crystals embedded in her chest. Zinnik is gonna kick such ass. I'm so excited to introduce Zinnik in Volume 3. Like further introduce Zinnik in Volume 3.
Let me chill because yeah. Let me. You know what I love? I love trying to figure out what you're gonna name those because
The
yeah,
Nimians.
yeah. I love
Okay, for those who don't know out
yeah.
there, I love a Lilliputian tail, and I have one. And so there's braided one in my first book,
Mm-hmm.
and then twisted one in the third book, and then in the second book, and then the dreaded one in the third book. And it's not um, like this. You know, don't poo poo me for calling Locke dreads. It's because she actually is like a dread. Like this is a scary character. This is probably the dark, and the whole
Yeah.
color palette for book 3 is different. And I'm
Oh,
bringing in an artist to do the cover. I'm completely done with my little. I saw so many memes dogging me about dogging us Canva users. I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm gonna bring in someone to do the art for volume. The same vibe, but
hmm,
different color palette because Zinnik is dark. Zinnik is like if you made Killmonger a woman and let her do what she came to do. Like
like didn't
that's
hold her back.
yeah, that's
Okay,
Zinnik.
because
That's Zinnik.
I
And
love
she
how they were
chooses
even.
violence.
Oh, see, I actually love how you even named it like the title like twisted then dread because I started going out like as it I love the play on words too, as it does become more twisted and more dreaded one, and it's actually just the name of the hairstyles, but you're able to work it in. Like that's what I liked, and I love that series because when I read the first, one, I was like, oh, this is so. It felt like something from what's the name of that series back in the '80s?
Which
Amazing
one,
Stories.
Twilight? Oh yeah,
It felt like something from Amazing Stories, and that's why I loved it so much. It felt like I was like watching that, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. Then the second one, I was like, this is a little more maybe
It
Twilight
leaned
Zone.
it leaned more urban, but then the
Yeah.
end of it is like I had fun writing Twisted. I saw a lot of myself in Sharice. I shouldn't, but I'm like, oh man, she's so fucked up. But I did love that character. But I did all of that just to get to where it goes in volume three. And
Hmm.
then that flagship story, I'll put it to rest and I'll start a new flagship story. So it's braided one, twisted one, dreaded one. And Zenik is the dreaded one. It's a human raised by Nimians who came back to the surface. So she doesn't have this like humanness to her. And that's so much fun to explore. Like, you are a black woman, you know, you're in America, you're in this, but you have no connection to that. You simply see things as they are. Who are these people? What are they doing? That
Hmm.
seems wrong. I'm about to mock them. That's like
Yeah.
that's her whole thing. That's her whole thing. But she's not this like, you know, heart of gold superhero. She's really mopping anybody who get in her way. And she does have a motive, but it just so happens that the people who she lays low, you're gonna cheer. You're gonna be like, yeah, get some. Like she pulling up on your yacht, pulling up in your mansion,
But that's what I
pulling up in the Congo.
would you ever think about collecting those stories as its own like its own volume, its own collection, let's say?
Yep, you got me. You
Bet.
beat me
Okay.
to it.
All right, bet.
So I'm
Okay.
gonna take when I'm done with the flagship stories. I'm
Okay.
gonna put them all into one big book. And you know, people have asked me, they're like, "Oh, you know, because they're so long." Also, I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the first one, they're like, "Damn, how long is the braided one?" I love this story, but like, I'm like, okay, I'm sensitive. I did pace. I've gotten better. I mean, the writing has just gotten better. When the time we get to this third one, the stories I have planned for the third one, so cool. Like I have a funny AI story in there that I swear, which is just the most Black Mirror ass story, bro. Like so, like but like more more fantasy than sci-fi. Like I'm talking about a very
Okay.
sci-fi type of thing, whatever, about like problematic uses for future technologies or whatever. Shout out to Ruha Benjamin. But like I'm just really toying with the idea that you can't just take someone's face. It's someone's face, right? You can't just take someone's face. What happens to the person? So I have a story in there like that, like the fact that there is no such thing as taking someone's face, like rendering someone, that's someone's fucking face. And maybe every time you do it, something happens to the person. So I have stories in there like that, like just really cool shit in volume three. People are gonna have so much fun. Heads will roll, violence. Um, there's another sequel. I'm not gonna give that away. There's another sequel in there, and it's been going slow because I had to take a break from it. Yeah, I wanted to focus on the comic book, but
Yeah.
I'll probably wrap QBSFT 3 around in the fall. May
Okay.
not. I'm not going to rush myself this time because this time I am going to go through a more stringent editing process. I think
Hmm.
I owe that to myself and my growth. Um, yeah, gonna put more eyes on it. I just want people to have like the best, like elevated experience. And I used to have this idea like, oh my god, I don't want to read the first one is so terrible. Nah, fuck that. Every first effort, it just be like that. You know, it just we grow. I'm growing in a space. I'm growing as a writer. It's fun to look back and even the stuff that I wrote last year, stuff that I've been pitching, some that land, some that don't, and be like, wow, this is better. This version is better than the first version I wrote. Um,
Hmm.
and that's just why I can never get behind automating something that is supposed to be very human. Like, please let the AI give us some type of algorithm to take the plastic out of the ocean, to do our taxes, to
Please,
do rocket science, math.
please, yes.
uh, do not use it to write your fucking memoir, because now that's just weird, bro. Now you're being weird.
They're
It's being
yeah.
weird.
People are weird, unfortunately. All right, we've only got a couple minutes left. I'm going to ask you some lightning questions.
Oh no.
Yes. Who is someone that you would love to work with in the comic book space?
Eve Ewing, definitely.
Okay, yes,
Um,
yes.
either of the other of the two Gregs.
Yes.
uh,
Um,
Victor Laval for sure. Jeff
oof,
Lemire is a cool. I like his work. Um, Lilavois, super kick ass.
dope.
If Dr. Shabika Mitchell ever launches something else, like she usually does things that are anthologies and collective
Mhm.
magazine style. Love to work with her again. She's just a light, and I just love her as a person. Um, yeah, that's all I have like off the top of my head. I'm sure, but as soon as I hang up this call, like,
Good things happen.
like I missed 700 people.
What's a comic
Yeah,
book character that you would enjoy
Bob
writing?
Jeffrey.
What?
I forgot about Bob. I gotta throw Bob in there
Oh,
because I asked Bob to help me with this book, and he was like, "I don't know." I think he was busy though. He's always doing something hush hushy, like is always signed
he's
to an NDA, and then like you try to get
he's
him, and
always
he's
got
like,
something going though. He's
"I
always,
know, I love that though,
but he's one of the best people. He
so
as a human
good,
being, he's one of the sweetest people possible, and as a writer, he's one of my
super super
favorite
good."
writers possible.
Serious
Absolutely,
businessman too, like
yes,
editor. I mean, he wears a hat and he kills it all.
yeah, but never he never like he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, dude, you're doing everything. You, you are
Oh
doing
yeah,
everything.
humble
He's so
dude,
cool.
but we're gonna give him his flowers today.
Oh,
Give him his
definitely,
flowers.
definitely, definitely. What's a book character that you would love to write?
Oh wow. I don't think I think about this a lot. Uh,
I can think of one that I would like for you to write. Truthfully,
you help me out. I don't think about this a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Erica Slaughter from that, Something Is Killing Children. I would love to
Oh,
see you do an arc or like
listen.
a one, just something like that. I would love that because I think you would introduce characters into the story and
It's
they would
so
become
funny.
canon.
I'm holding the book of Cutter in my hand.
Maxine, I'm saying, you writing Maxine?
Yo, I mean, cause you just they
What?
they're working it out. I mean, dialogue wise, and it's just
Yes.
like, and I'm a forever understudy of dialogue. Like coming from a literary space and prose space, and having like had the accolades I have as far as like writing poetry and and then coming over to where they're just like, you got maybe three sentences that you can fit in this quarter right here, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, so like, much respect to whoever gets the fucking dialogue right. It's rough. I love
It's
it.
one
I'm up
of
for a challenge though.
Something
No,
Is
no, I
Killing
love Erica
Children.
Slaughter. The way they drew her, I mean, this kind of like wild-eyed uh, character with this crazy hair. I love it with her little Dennis the Menace hair they gave her in the first book.
Yes. Oh my,
So
yes. I never
good,
thought about that.
so good. No, I like that style. It's almost
Yes.
anime. It's almost like an anime hairstyle. It's so chaotic.
She's one of my
Great.
favorite characters. You writing Maxine, I bet. Yeah, yeah, because I think in so much of form she's gonna end up becoming. Because I know the story continued this week, and last arc was so heartbreaking and so incredible and so amazing. It made me change the way I looked at comics and the way they're written and how they can affect you and every. It made me like change the whole. That's where I came up with the whole scale for how I look at and review comics. That's how I came up with it because I
You
had to
know
sit and think about it.
who I would like? I would write literally any character from. Have
Yes.
you ever read Bone Parish? If they ever brought Bone Parish, but I had the trade. I think I read them all. So like and then I got the trade. So
Mm,
I love the dialogue in Bone Parish. I like the
it's
story in Bone Parish.
it was
It was
so
hella
cool.
cool. Hella
It
cool.
was that was one of the first things I read when I came out of the hospital.
Really?
Yeah, it was one of the first things I read when I got home. I remember that Monday I had all these comics in my tablet, and I was like, "Let me go through." And I was like, "I've been waiting for this because I'm a fan of Cullen Bunn." And I read it, and I said,
Yep.
"Damn, was like, what? And I read. I was so upset. I think it's only 12 or 18 issues. I want to
It
say.
can be 18.
So
It can
so then
can it?
12.
Yeah, but yeah. I
So
mean,
then 12.
based on the trade, I think it was 12. I don't think it was
Yeah.
18.
And it was just,
Good
I was
run.
like, oh
Solid
my God.
fucking run.
But I would
Solid.
love more of that. If you wrote, yes. Okay, yes. Yes. Yes.
But yeah, Erica Slaughter, hell yeah. I mean, the whole House of Slaughter, the way they expanded that universe, it
Mm-hmm.
didn't even feel like blown out, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it really felt thoughtful. Like, all the houses, like, all the consideration, all the B stories
Yeah.
in that universe. Like, but I love the story concept right from the beginning. I remember reading it and being a bit jarred, but like, I was like, damn, whoever wrote this was like, fuck them kids.
They really, I mean, like in the first issue, because I didn't read it because I was like, oh, it's probably gonna be like Buffy, and I wasn't looking for it. And
Because the art, right?
yeah, and
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
it's kind of cool, whatever. And I wasn't in the space for that. And then Tequila Marie, good friends, incredible artist. She was
Amazing
like,
art.
have you read it? I was like, ah, no. She was like, check it out. So that night I was in my kitchen, I think making waffles. I don't know. And I
Really
was
waffle.
I just random. Whenever you don't know where I'm at, I'm probably making a waffle somewhere.
The
Truthfully,
waffle
I'm probably
involved.
making a waffle. And I was read the first issue out of bed, so I ended up buying I think it was up to 2 trades. I ended up buying them that night and reading them. And I was like, wait, hold on, this is not. And it's from the beginning, but it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem so overblown because of the world building that he did was so intricate, and you knew those
Yeah.
houses were there. And you start going, I wonder what those other houses do and everything. And then he's like, well, I'll tell you.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the pacing of even the rollout of the story is right on time.
Yes, it's yes. I feel like I need to go back and reread them. Okay, last
I
lightning
know,
round
I know, I
question.
know. Oh,
Last
yo,
lightning
okay.
round
What do you got
question.
for me? What do you got?
Favorite snack?
Okay, so I've been really, really heavy into the charcuterie boards, and I've been making all types of charcuterie boards. I will have like a little smoked salmon. You can't tell me. I have my pinky up when I do it.
Oh
I will
Lord.
slice the little figs and put the cream cheese in the little medjool dates. I will take the caper and mix it with and make a little sauce, and then I'll have these little gluten-free whole food crackers. I will make my little guac. I have a Mediterranean style one where I put the little domas on it. You couldn't tell me nothing. You tell me nothing.
Okay. I feel like I might not have to ask that question to anybody else because I should have asked you the other question, which I forgot what it is now.
Something heavy and soul
Yeah,
searching.
yeah,
Like,
because that was probably the classiest answer I could get for it. I thought you might have said, "Oh, I like air puffs," or like something like just would be like kind of.
nope.
You came up with the charcuterie boards. I was like, okay,
With
okay,
I don't want the domas from the can. I want the hand rolled grape leaves. I want to make the kofta myself with the rice, and I want to
this
roll the domas.
this
So
is
I'm like really, and it's so stupid because my taste just last year was like, ooh, cold pizza. You know, like
those are so far apart. That's
But
wow.
I did lose 20 pounds from last year. I think the two things are related. Me
That,
not eating the cold pizza. Even though when Burnham was here, I totally ate pizza from the halal spot across the street
oh.
because I'm like, because pizza is like comic book making food, right? So it's like,
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
It is. Like
it
when I
runs on
read
Pittsburgh.
comics, I'm an ice cream person, and I think I'm going to start saying like, "Oh, this writer goes well with this flavor. This writer goes well with this flavor."
Oh my God, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Whenever I read Brandon Easton, who's one of my favorite writers, I like the butter pecan.
I love me some butter pecan. I remember when I was little and my palate hadn't, evolved, and I used to spit the little
Hmm.
pecans out.
Yes,
And grandma used to be like, "You got pecans in that bowl." And then like
that's the best
sometimes she would
part.
eat them, and I'd be like, grandma," because grandmas don't believe in germs. It's
No,
funny.
they don't
We'll
care.
disinfect everything, but then like eat out of your cereal, which is like
Because that's their baby right there. That's my baby right there. That's my baby. That's my baby.
the same
That's all
germs.
right. That's my baby.
I wipe your little tail.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
They
grandma.
will say, yeah, grandmothers, yeah.
Shout out to Black
Shout
grandmas holding the family together. Because
shout out to
Mother's
the
Day is
Upper
coming, so
Yes.
yeah, shout out to the Black grandmas.
Yes. Shout out to Black Mama when they used to be called Big Mama.
Big Mama, yeah, yeah, for
But
sure, for sure.
ain't no Big Mamas now. They all know. And no.
Except for
The
Lotto. Big Mama.
the
Nope.
grandmothers now are
Um,
I ain't even saying that. Also shout out to all of the abuelas, abuelitas. Thank you.
Abuelitas.
Yes. So
Okay,
folks,
so
yes,
Fumes Kickstarter
yes,
is still live. I think we're at 87 or 88%. We still
yes.
got about 2 weeks to go.
Yeah, you've got
Uh,
15 days to go with this.
15 days.
This is so cool. And to get backstory on it, I would definitely recommend getting Quirky Black Sci-Fi Tales 1 and 2. They are just really dope reads, honestly, and just a diverse genres of stories.
I love when you love on me.
That's what I'm saying.
Want to give a huge shout out to Pink Riot Comic Book Show. They just launched their show. It's Keisha from Blurred Library. I know you're
Oh,
familiar. And Bree Bookish. And so they have really created like a woman-centered space. They're really celebrating a lot of Black, brown indie comics and women-centered comics. Hilarious. You would definitely vibe with it. So, along with Antonio Pomeras, please add these young women in your
no,
YouTube deck into your
no.
into your TBW, your to be watched. Just such lights in the space. I mean, I think I gave all my shout outs. Shout out to my friend Toy, my nigga Toy, she backed me. Hey, I see you, friend. Shout out to everybody who's backed me so far. Try not to pull like the little reports or anything because I just want to just get to all that when I'm in a, when I'm finalizing. But
Mm-hmm.
sincere thanks to every form of backing, every share, every word of mouth, every mention. Super important to me. I
It
got
all
a regular
matters.
day gig. I have a social battery like everybody else. So sometimes it's hard to hit the promo
Mhm.
pavement running every time. But like, so just thank you for everybody who shared. Like, it means a lot to me. So
Do you have any events or cons that are coming up that you're going to be going to?
definitely doing Atlanta Comic Con
Okay.
this year. MomoCon, I'm finalizing arrangements. I kind of am still teeter tottering, but I'll say it's 80% that I'm going to be at MomoCon. If I'm not, then the books will at least probably be at MomoCon
Oof.
on Burnham's
Nice.
table. So either way, I'll be there in spirit. But I'm going to try to make it down. You know, I love the big A. I got
Okay.
my family in Lawrenceville, so I have incentive to go down. It's just that May is crazy. All my babies graduating. This May and June is like my family is in the air flying to somebody's graduation. So I'm trying to like schedule around that stuff. But yeah,
It's
Fumes. I'm excited.
like everything you have going on. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna shout this out real quick because it was one of my favorite things. Like it was like my like because it wasn't like a TV show, but it was something I was listening to on a regular. I was like, damn, I hope another episode comes. I hope an episode comes out. Afflicted. I absolutely loved Mama Cherry. That was one of the dopest things possible. That whole story was so good, so great, amazing. I
Tanya
just
Ransom.
yeah,
Tanya Ransom. And then shout out to Jen's Inc., the
yes,
audio genius by her masterful ear. So sharp. I mean, that duo together, Jen Zink and Tanya Ransom Media, shout out to them. I'm excited to see whatever she brings to the space next. Like,
yeah.
I'm just
She
a forever fan. If you guys have not listened to Nightlight Podcast,
yes,
if you're
thank you.
looking for audio horror from the diaspora, please, please, please. And I mean, we're talking over 100 episodes of
Mm-hmm.
just Black indie horror in audio version. You got a long drive? Please do put it on. Some of your faves in the space. Uh, please, it cooks.
Across the
It cooks.
board.
I promise you, no disappointments. So many great stories,
They were
and
so good.
original pieces from Tanya herself too. So
This is
worth it.
how great this series was, but so messed up how it was. I used to have to go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Damn.
and it's dark. You know, it's dark, and I'm listening to this, and I'm like, yeah, no, 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 no. I was listening to it, and because it was dark, and it would be like just like one street light, and it was like 2 miles away. I'm like, why is that the only light that's on right now? Something's not. And it was,
It was
but it
aesthetic
was,
though. It was aesthetic for the.
it was. But I'm going like turning around, like I'm like checking like everything, but it's so good. And Tanya's one of the coolest people possible. And I was just enamored to see everything that she was doing. Because
I'll
my
say it again. Mentors in the space. I did not
yes,
know my ass from my elbow in the voiceover space.
mm-hmm.
I so much patience, so much game about equipment to buy. I know we're over time, but I just want to say big shout out to her. Huge help, and she launched me in the voiceover space. So
Yeah, that was
and I'm
one of my.
still open to voiceover work. So if you like this raspy voice of mine and you want to hear it as part of your project,
I you know what? I would. You should
terrible.
definitely do some video game voiceovers. Truthfully,
I
you
wouldn't
would
even know
fit in
how to
great.
even get into that. I don't even know how to get into that. I would love it. Sounds cool, but
You would
like,
fit in great with Destiny's my like one of my favorite games, and they have because Deborah Wilson does a voice for this like huge character, and it's just so awesome. And I definitely see your voice in like video
I'm
games.
just gonna go to all the cons and I'm gonna let this stuff gravitate towards me because that's how I met Tanya. I met her at Multiverse Con. Shout out to Multiverse Con. I met her
Really?
at Multiverse Con and I was just speaking to her, or she heard me speak at a panel, and she was like, "I like your voice. I think I might have something for you." And then she hit me months later, and she was like, "We're launching this. You have to audition, but if it goes green, we want you to do this project." And she paid industry rates for that project. So when I tell you to back these people, that's
Hmm.
why they want to pay you industry standards. I pay my artists industry standards for their art. Their per page rate was set at what a lot of the big three, So when you see these people out here, don't think we're on a money grab. Shame on the people that are, but just know that we really want to incentivize people to keep making art, to keep writing stories, and
Hmm.
gotta pay folks.
Because
Gotta pay folks.
but you've done it right because you've got a great mentor. You did the homework too. You did like more than what some people are doing, and I'm not shaming anybody for how they got into the
Yeah.
space, what have you. But you went about it in the most meticulous way, and to set yourself up, and then we're still open to learning even more. So you
Still,
have
I'm
that too.
never gonna
Yeah.
stop. I took a script writing class, which was useful, but I now want to take a specific, target like comic book, right? Like,
Hmm.
I'm a forever student, and I like that about myself. But I mean, with that said, congratulations to anyone who launched and they weren't ready, and maybe they didn't have the resources to go take a class. I mean, the getting the product out there is the master class itself, right? Because you're
Hmm.
gonna you're gonna bust that ass at least once or twice. And it's a beautiful thing because, get it right the second time around. Just do it.
Well,
Drag and drop, rinse, repeat.
sometimes people will see the big. Oh, they're like, oh, they made X amount of money. I'm like, not everyone's going to be like that. Just depends on what it is. It's
People
sometimes the
think that
craft.
until they get on the other side of it and
Yeah.
understand that to make the money, you got to spend the money. Like, you really be breaking people like, oh, they made 20 racks. I'm like, look at the size of their team. They
Hmm.
need 20 racks. They need 20 racks. Like, oh, they gonna like, and when you see them, they're not driving Lambos. Like, no, that's the cost of the production.
Hmm.
Especially when people see these high numbers. I'm like, it's an animation. I don't know what you think animation costs, but
But it's
you know,
oof.
yeah.
I remember asking somebody once. I was like, how much would it cost for like 10 seconds? And they told me, and I was like, okay, because I was just curious.
I
And I
did
was like,
it
how much would
too.
it cost?
I
And they
did
told me,
it
and I was
too.
like,
I did it too. I was like, thank you for your time, sir.
I was
Thank
like
you.
that. I was so apologetic. I was like,
Useful information.
thank you. I appreciate you and all. I lit the incense for them. Like I put some
with
rose
the with
petals
the
down.
steeple hands, like, thank you for your time.
Like I was like, thank you. Like I felt like Eddie Murphy. I
I'll
was like,
circle back.
I want, thank you, please. I put my hands together. I
Hmm.
walked out ceremoniously with my head
I
still bowed.
see. I see. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
I was like, I appreciate you. I appreciate your work,
Black
everything
people
you do.
so funny when we ain't about to buy something. And
Yeah.
is that per second, per frame,
It's like, how many
per day? How
pixels
much
is that? How much is all right?
you know we don't need no more information after we done received that price.
What,
Now we're
what,
just wasting your time.
so what if you use like 10 less pixels? How much is it going? Oh, it's the same rate. Okay. All right.
What
Well,
if you do me an 8-bit?
yeah. I did 8-bit.
Actually, that costs more because that's a stylized retro style now. Okay, fine, forget it.
I'm like,
I
woof.
got it. I'll see you when I got it.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah,
I feel like I need to pay you just for asking you the question, brother. I'm just going about my business.
some of
I,
them do make you.
I appreciate you.
That'll be $50 an hour consultation
You know,
fee. I
you got a
love
tip
coming in here
jar,
cutting up with
anything?
you, man. We be cutting up.
Oh my
We be
God.
cutting up.
I felt so bad. I was like,
Thank you for your time. You're gonna put the hand on the chest.
may all your children be strong and illustrious. I'm just going about my day. Thank you. I appreciate you. So folks,
I'm gonna recommend you to a friend.
yeah,
with
I'm
exponentially more funds.
I'm gonna pray to somebody for you and let you know that your heart is always gold with me. I'm gonna put
Whew.
some rose petals down when you walk in my neighborhood. I'm gonna put rose petals down for you.
With that said, shout out to Ianu
God.
for
Oh
getting
my
there.
God.
I didn't even, I was like, there's something else I wanted to mention. Hell yeah, yeah. They got that done. They got that option. And it's clean and it's beautiful and
It's
it's colorful and it's cultural and it is everything that I wanted. Like I I first met that brother Royu at Ekbach.
oh, okay.
Yeah. With his
I
one table to see this on the screen blows my mind. And shout out
I
to David Crownson too. I'm just getting all my shout outs. I know we're about to go. I
well,
know
no,
we're
but
about
I
to
mean
go.
everything that's happened. Like, but it shows that you because I first had him. He was at the Black Comic Festival in Harlem. It was at the table. I bought a T-shirt from him. I bought like an EXO T-shirt. This is before
Oh
I think he had all
God.
the other books out. And now to see it come across there and seeing him in Jacob Javits, like walking towards the panels. I was going to another panel and I was like, to see from that to this. Keep telling your
Yeah.
stories. Keep telling your stories. No matter. Oh, there's Takia Marie right there. Who wants to know? Are you going to be doing any New
Please.
York Comic Con anytime soon?
Hell yeah. Listen, I'm going to all the cons. I'm going to blitz. After I drop the book, you expect to see my face. I don't know if I can get a table at everywhere, but I can definitely throw my knapsack on and do my thug dizzle. You know me. If I might pop out in a little cosplay and just to come, I like to come shop. But I'm trying to secure my tables right now for the places that I know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be, and they sell out fast. So they know how that goes.
Yeah,
But yeah, right
I'm.
now it's just MomoCon, Atlanta Comic Con, and hopefully I'll be in the place for BlurCon. Um, I'm gonna be in there. I don't care if I gotta get a fourth of a table from Evil Greg. I'm gonna get a you gonna move over. Or I'll be or Ray Comics. I'm like, Ray, can I see with you and your brother?
I think
Can I sit
anybody's
with
going
the
to be happy to
Sterlings?
have you at that table
Can
because
I
it's
sit with
just
the Sterlings? Let me stop.
oh my God. So,
Anyway, but
all right.
yeah.
Well, folks, this has been M. Shy. This is why I said that I just let M. Shy go because I is. What am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Let me do my thug dizzle, baby.
Fumes is live. The Kickstarter. You have 15 days left. If you pledge today and you ain't got it just yet, you getting paid next week. It doesn't take the money out today. It takes it out when it's fully funded and on the very
Don't
last day.
you do that.
So you good.
With that said, don't listen to him. You better
No,
have
no,
that
no,
money in
no.
your. If you pledge my shit, you better have that. I'm sorry.
Oh no, no, but because
You
some
better
people don't
have
know, and I'm
funds.
like,
No, I'm kidding. I'm messing with you.
because I'm always like, no, no, no. If
No,
you pledge
it's
today,
the Kickstarter that'll get you. They'll be like, the money's due. Where that?
they I looked at how much I spent on Kickstarter and I was like, wait, hold on, somebody gotta stop making comics. I was like, y'all gotta
Man,
chill. I didn't realize, and
I'm
I was just
opposite.
in
I
it.
buy most stuff in person at these cons, and then I was like, dang, I only really back like 30 things, if that 28 things. I gotta get my backing up, so I'm going on a backing spree. Soon as
You
this
gotta
campaign
look.
is over, I done
You gotta
backed a
look
few
for.
things during this campaign, but I feel like I really want to get my weight up,
There's so
back to more stuff.
I had to look through my list and I was like, oh, I forgot because sometimes I forget about the amount of comics. I'm like, oh, I gotta read. I started reading them. I'm like, damn. And I read it, and then the next Kickstarter was actually up a couple of days later. I was like, okay, yeah, all right, cool. I'm in.
I just love shopping in person though, because I get it signed. Even though, well, no, people do sell the signed things with the different
Yeah,
tiers. I know I have a signed tier.
yeah.
My tiers go off. Like if you back, just know you good. I got you. I'm even gonna have some surprise things I throw in for the lower to mid level tier. So I'm merching it up.
No
I'm
matter
merching
what,
it
you
up.
get in the cool store. You got merch coming out. Quirky Black Facts. Or actually, I wouldn't mind reading that book. Actually, come to think of it, that would actually be cool. Quirky
Hmm.
Black Sci-Fi Tales, Volume 3. I'm
Volume
excited to
three.
see where this is be going. But Volume 1 and 2 are out there as well. M. Shy, thank you so very much for being here. I truly
Thanks for
appreciate.
having me. I ain't
No,
done
of
this in a
course,
while.
yes,
I ain't done this in a while.
but this isn't the first time. This isn't the last time I'm going to see you. Next week,
What's
next
happening
week's
this
show,
week?
Sinners. We're
Oh
having the Sinners discussion
yeah,
is next week. We're having, and I have people. Oh my god! And M Shy is going to be one of the people that I'm going to have on. We are going to be talking about
Listen, I have
everything,
so much to say.
all the
I have
themes on
so
Sinners,
much to say.
and the
Oh my
voices that
god,
I
I gotta
have.
update my calendar. Like I'm so terrible. I'm like, what's happening next week? This just shows you how burnt out I am from my day gig.
I
Like, yeah, like
I totally believe it. Next week we'll have a panel discussion on Sinners, and I'm going to have M Shy as Dash. I got Cerise Rennie Murphy.
I
Okay,
love her.
I've got, yeah, she's awesome as hell.
She's a cool
I'm just
person.
going to tell you those two names. And I've got but two or three other people coming in. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be black. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be like it's just going. At the end of the conversation, you're gonna look
You have me at black.
in
You have
your
me at black.
oven. Cornbread's gonna be done. You ain't even put it in there. The greens is like just smelling right. Okay, there's gonna be a little bathtub gin is gonna be on the table. You didn't make it. Don't
Not
matter.
the bathtub, Jen.
Sometimes you gotta have a little bathtub gin. I'm just saying. So, folks, you have a very good evening. Enjoy the rest of it. Be safe. Drink water. And I will see you later. Actually, next week. Sorry, I'll see you next week. And as always, F Trump. All right,
Period.
I'm gonna see y'all later. Peace.